Dr. Page.
Hello,
My name's Anish.
Nice to meet you.
We spoke over the phone
Yes.
last week. I'm from ADP.
I remember.
Some crazy weather.
Oh yeah,
We're having-
flurries and like it gets warm then cold and warm, but right now it's been like stagnant at being
Yeah.
cold. 17 degrees, 20 degrees. This is even Dallas.
The roads are really icy out there.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised you guys are open.
Oh yeah, we have to stay open. You know, the number of accidents has gone up just like this week alone.
So I won't take too much of your time. I know you're very busy.
Oh, that's fine.
This is going to take about 10 to 15 minutes. Can you cut that out of your
Yeah, we have.
every day?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. Like I said, I'm from ADP. We're a payroll service system.
Yeah.
Currently, I just want to talk to you about maybe changing from your current system and coming over with us. So I'm just going to ask you a series of questions,
Okay.
and I'm going to give you a proposal at the
Okay.
end of this, maybe
Okay.
sometime next week, after the information that I get from you. So I want to start by asking, how many locations do you currently
We have 2 locations. There's one in Union and one in Peachtree. Generally, they hold about 20 in Union and 15 in Peachtree. And we're trying to expand. So yeah, that's one of the goals. For
Where are
this
you
year.
trying to expand?
We're trying to expand to Tyrone. It's
Okay.
going to be our new location. We feel like the number of patients we're going to have there is probably going to skyrocket as well.
And how many employees would you say you're going to get at the new location?
We're going to get, well, generally we're trying to up our number of staff by at least 5 per year.
Per year. Wow. Okay. So business is prospering.
Yes,
Good.
it's doing really well.
That's very good. Always good to hear. So what are you currently using for your payroll system?
We use Microsoft Dynamic. When I say we, it's me and my wife that are doing it. So yeah, that's what we've been using currently, and we also use Microsoft Excel. And that's just generally us just booking it down to make sure that we have our weekly statements and how much we spent per employee.
So you said your wife, she does the.
Yes, she uses Microsoft Dynamic.
Okay. Is that her only job? Is that all she does?
No,
payroll?
she works here alongside also.
So she also works.
Yes.
Okay. Is it user friendly? Is it easy? Is it easy to use?
Microsoft at first it had a really big learning curve. It took her about 30 hours per week to get the hang of it and to work out the kinks. But now it's like 15 hours per week. It's not so bad. She spends generally about 3 minutes per time card, and then 1 hour per payroll.
So 3 minutes per time card.
Yeah.
Okay. And how much does that come up? How many hours is that weekly? would you say?
It's 15 hours.
Okay, 15 hours.
Yes. Now it is, but before it used to be a lot more.
Gotcha. Is it costly to use your software? I mean, is there any other additional costs?
So are you very familiar with it? So
I have heard of it.
You buy the software, and then every year you have to pay $1,500 to upgrade it.
Just for upgrades?
Yes.
Oh wow, that's quite a bit. Okay. So and who are you banking with right now?
I'm banking with Capital One.
Capital One. And how much is that? How much do you pay?
We pay about $250 per month. That's pretty normal, right?
I would say it's a little bit high.
Okay.
A little bit high.
Okay.
But okay. Write that down. And this is all manual. Do you keep track of the time cards manually, or are you doing it through your computer?
Yeah. So it just depends on the employee. So the employee comes in and they put the time that they've done each week.
They write it down.
They write down. And my wife, she puts it into Dynamic and makes sure that it's all there, and then she puts it along with the pay time off and make sure it matches up. And after it matches up, then she gets a pay card, and then she goes to USPS and drops off all the checks.
So paid time off, it's calculated. They call you, and your wife then plugs it in.
Yes, that's how it works. Okay, so the employee comes in, or doesn't come in, but they call my wife like at least 2 weeks in advance, and then they make sure they get that segment off. And then when they get that segment off, my wife takes it off the pay card and makes sure that it's not on there.
That sounds very confusing.
Yes.
Very time consuming.
Takes a lot of time, because on top of that, some of my employees, sometimes they come in early. They say, oh, I took 5 days off or 4 days off, but then you come in after the 3rd day, and then you have to pay them for that day because they work. And so it slows down the system because we have to pay for them next week.
That's great that you mentioned that. I actually wanted to talk about this. I just want to ask you about your employee integrity and your employee honesty. Would you say your employees have been honest when calculating or when putting in their times?
I try to trust them, just because I feel like they've been working here for quite some time, so I feel like they've been pretty honest with me. But generally, sometimes it has been a case like a few years ago, whenever like employee says that they came in on time for New Year's and for Christmas, but I wasn't here, my wife wasn't here.
You guys don't work on Christmas?
Yeah, we don't work on Christmas and New Year's, but he was here, and he said that he paid, so we ended up paying him, but who knows if he was here or not.
Yeah, that's a big issue. A lot of the clients that I bring or that I recruit to ADP, they have this problem where they say that their customer honesty is one of the biggest problems that they had. Because no offense, but the manual, no one really does manual calculating anymore. Everything is done computerized, and because with manual inputting, not only is there an honesty issue, but it's also a lot more time consuming, and there's a lot more room for error. And just bringing on, talking about that, would you say that you have a lot of errors, human errors that your wife has?
Yes, generally we spend about 2-3 hours a week to make sure that we don't have any errors.
You do this on the weekends?
Yes, we do this on weekends along with having kids. We have to manage the kids.
Oh, you have kids?
Yes, there's 2 and 3. They're pretty newborn.
Oh,
Do you have any kids?
Yeah, I have a 6-year-old. We recently put him in Pee Wee football last week, so he's been pretty pumped about that. Just find all the cowboy gear and he wants
trying to be Tony Romo?
Yeah, he's trying to be Tony Romo.
Yeah. Everybody wants to be Tony Romo.
Everyone wants to be Romo.
Is it Dez or Tony Romo?
Yep. So, yeah, right, back on topic. So, how reliable would you say your software is? I mean, I know you've been using it for quite some time. So I know you're very comfortable with it, I'm sure. But
so we've been using it for quite some time. It's been a few years since we've been using it, and we're very comfortable. Well, my wife is very comfortable with it. I'm trying to get comfortable with it, but it's taking some time. And so it's been reliable for the most part, I feel like. But in terms of like the errors and stuff, I feel like we're only about 80% correct. Well, we could be 100. We're trying to push every week to be better and better.
So there's room for improvement.
Yeah, there's definitely room for improvement.
Okay, so this is definitely, ADP would definitely be a huge improvement from what you're using right now. Not only more cost effective, but the amount of time that you could save is exponential. I mean, I know that you're already very busy. I mean, you're a doctor, right? So doctors already, you must put in tons of hours a week, and it must not leave you a lot of family time on the weekend because you say that you have to spend additional time, going over your tracks, cleaning up mistakes as far as payroll goes. Yeah,
so it takes a lot of time, and I've heard of places like Georgia Pay. I feel like, do you all have the same concept?
A lot of the clients that I have recruited, they left Georgia Pay and they came and transferred to ADP because Georgia Pay, they're not as customer oriented, not as customer friendly, and they're not as cost effective as we are, and their software has a lot of flaws. So yeah, definitely Georgia Pay is something to stay clear of. If you ever get contacted by Georgia Pay, I would definitely advise staying clear. I know I'm very biased here, but definitely take my word for it. Georgia Pay is not something to
Keep
get involved in. Exactly. So let me just touch on a few more things here. As far as taxes, does your wife also do the tax side?
Yes, my wife also does taxes. Generally, in terms of time, because time's a big thing in my family.
Exactly.
So she spends on tax deposits 15 minutes per pay period, quarterly filings 2 hours per quarter, W-2s 15 minutes per pay period, and yeah, that's a lot of time when you think about it.
That is.
Yeah.
And has she been filing them on
So
time?
it's funny that you asked, because 4 years ago there's been a penalty. We got a penalty for not filing our taxes on time.
Wow. Okay. So I see all these penalties, these fees adding up. You mentioned Capital One. You mentioned the Microsoft Dynamic, these tax fees. Is this actually weighing a burden on your take home?
As far as burden, yes and no, but in the general scheme of things, at least it gets the job done, right? But I feel like I should have more time for my family.
So you value time, or most important?
For sure.
Okay. So that is the one thing that we could probably improve on the most. If you did transfer to ADP, time would be the most important thing that we could help you with. I mean, because you're spending, I would say, 20 hours, your wife alone, on just payroll. And that, to me, let me just explain how it works. Basically, our software is, each employee would have a user account. And when they come to work, when they show up to work that given day, they would sign into that user account. And from there, it would create a timestamp. So all they have to do is stay signed in, and whenever they log off the software, it creates another timestamp. So there's a beginning and an end. It's very clear cut. There is no room for dishonesty, no room for human error. It's all computerized. And I also noticed that you had a lot of elderly employees, your receptionists, your clerks, some of your nurses are elderly. I know that it may seem like they're not very technologically advanced, not tech savvy, but it's not a huge learning curve. We actually send agents to your office. We would train them for 2-3 hours, and basically that's all it is. I mean, it's not a very complicated software, so they can definitely pick up the learning curve very quickly.
That's good. That's good. Especially it's digital based, so everything is all online and it's accurate.
Yeah, no offense, like I said,
Yeah.
your software is very outdated.
Yeah.
And I know change isn't easy.
Mhm.
I know, but if we didn't take risks, where would we be?
Sure.
So,
And we're trying to grow, so I feel
Exactly.
like risk is needed in order to grow.
yeah, as you expand, this is definitely, because, as you get more and more employees,
Mhm.
it's just going to be more and more time spent on
Exactly.
payroll.
Mhm.
So please, I'm going to take this back to my office. I'm going to talk to my colleagues,
Okay.
and we're going to design a proposal. And would you be okay with meeting sometime
Yeah,
next
for
week?
sure. For sure.
Okay, I'm gonna have someone give you a call. It's probably gonna be me that gives you a call, and we're
Okay.
gonna set up an appointment for sometime next week.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, thank you so much for taking your time. Let me take some of your time.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.